Now, walk into any toy shop and you'll find a fork in the aisles, pink for girls and blue for boys. But do girls really want to play princesses while boys play with their train sets? Or is it time to think outside the gift box? Let's speak to Dr. Amanda Gummer, who is a parenting psychologist and founder of fundamentally.children.com. And also joining us from Central London, there you go, Jake Wallis Simons. I just wanted to check that you were there, Jake. Hi, thanks for joining us here on Sky News this afternoon. Ladies first. So, talk to me about gender-different toys.
So I think this is a really interesting topic because girls and boys are different and they do choose to play different with different toys. That's got polarised, and actually now toy companies do tend to pinkify the girl stuff, and boys are given the rough and tumble and the trains. And there's not a problem with that, as long as if girls want to play with the trains and the blue toys, that's fine. And if the boys want to play with the girls' toys or the pink dolls, then that's fine too. It's about, the important thing is to let children be children and have free choice without stigma. I think what we're fighting against really is my boy's not playing with the pink stuff, he's not a sissy. That kind of attitude needs to change. But children do have different preferences for toys, and it should be a free choice for them.
Jake, what would you say to that?
Well, I think she's right in a way, in that this is not about political correctness, it's about common sense. Now, you know, if you go back 10, 20, 30 years ago, some toys were gendered, you know, some toys were for boys to play with more, and some toys were for girls to play with more. But there are all sorts of toys in the middle that weren't gendered. I mean, Lego, for instance, never used to be gendered in the way that it is today. However, if you fast forward to 2014 and go into any toy shop, it will be striking the fact that almost every single girl's toy will be pink, sparkly, and to do with dressing up as a princess or rehearsing bringing up children, and the boys get all of the other toys. And this sort of aggressive gender differentiation that's taking place on behalf of toy companies means that children are subjected to this sort of great commercial pressure and peer pressure, and have much less of an opportunity to play with toys that maybe they're not forced to be playing with. And I think that, you know, if this sort of crude gender stereotyping or gender segregation was taking place in the name of religion, we'd have something to say about it. But the fact that it is, it's taking place in the name of commercial profit, and everybody's quiet. I think something needs to be done about it.
Amanda?
I think the basic difference between girls and boys toys and the pinkified and the boys are the extreme versions. There is a lot of gender neutral toys, and at the Toy Fair last year I was really pleased to see things like science kits being de-genderized, so you don't just have the pink sparkly makeup kits for girls and the boys science kits. A lot of the packaging has been redesigned to make it gender neutral. Bikes, tablets, there are a lot of gender neutral toys out there, and there is still more work to be done to make sure that toy companies widen the bucket for all the things that can be coloured in a way that doesn't make them pink and sparkly. Toy kitchens, dolls, you can have boy dolls, you can have neutral coloured kitchens to encourage boys to play with those sorts of really vital play, but there's nothing wrong with girls playing with dolls and boys playing with trays if that's what they choose to do.
Okay, Jake, isn't it basically down to parents and how they guide their youngsters? And my little boy had a gender neutral kitchen when he was young, and he also played with Brio, other bricks available obviously, and he played with Lego. He didn't even think about what colour they might be.
Well, I think a lot of it is down to parents to make sure that they spend their money wisely in toy shops and put pressure on toy companies to accept the fact that parents don't want their children segregated into boys and girls. I mean, take Lego as an example. I mean, Amanda just talked about how people are releasing more gender-neutral toys these days, and Lego has just released a set called Research Institute, which focuses on some female scientists, and that was a huge success. It was sold out in about 2 or 3 days. But if you look at this in context, hitherto, the only toys available to girls in the Lego range was Lego Friends, which is purely pink, focused on baking cupcakes and going to the beauty salon, and that was it. All the rest was for boys. And I think that the toy companies need to take this seriously, because up to now, they've been pursuing a strategy of differentiation whereby they increase their market share by making the segments of the market increase, so that you have, pink and blue, and thereby increasing demand amongst different types of children for different types of products. I think they need to back off from that and start to accept that toys need to be for everybody, regardless of their gender, because they're in danger of creating a whole generation of kids who feel that you have to be a particular way if you're a girl.
No,
you have to like pink, and you have to like princess dresses, and that's going to lead to some rather unhappy adults.
I think it's more about the giving children the freedom to choose the toys regardless of whether they're in a pink box or a blue box. That's the bit we need to address. Giving children, saying that the girls only have access to Lego friends. There's nothing stopping girls from playing with Lego. I know lots of girls that play with Lego. I know lots of boys that like dressing up as fairies and tutus. Some of the dads have a problem with it, but generally the young children like playing with a wide range of things, and learning the differences between girls and boys is part of growing up. And gender neutralising everything I don't think is the answer. I think what we need to do is make it socially acceptable for all children to play with all toys. And when we do buying guides, in the Good Toy Guide, we do buying guides for people looking for toys for a 4-year-old girl or a 4-year-old boy. And we use our observations of children playing in the play centres where they're free to choose whatever they like, so that we use those observations to inform what we recommend for girls and boys.
Jake, wouldn't it make more sense to have a look at banning things like plastic guns instead of worrying about the colour of them?
Well, actually, I don't have too much of a problem with those sorts of heavily masculine toys, if you like.
Goodness me. Why not?
Well, I mean, I think that they're part of the rich tapestry of life, and
I'm
it's
sure
important
some parents listening would very much disagree with you on that, including me. I absolutely insisted that my son would not have any plastic gun toys when he was little. Why do you think I was wrong?
Well, my mum insisted that I wouldn't play with guns when I was a child as well, and I ended up playing with sticks instead and using them as guns. I mean, the fact is that there is a very strong instinct in some boys to be attracted towards playing with guns, and that needs to be not off limits, that needs to be allowed. What I'm talking about is the overall balance and the overall context, whereby we allow the extremes to be represented, but also we're not enforcing gender stereotypes on every single toy that's available. If you go into any toy shop up and down the country, you will see that there's a huge difference between the boys' aisles and the girls' aisles, and there's very little in between. And this means that little girls feel that unless it's pink and unless it's sparkly, it's not for them.
Amanda,
and that is a much greater problem.
Okay, sadly out of time. Final thought to you, Amanda.
Some of the toy shops have tried to desegregate the toy aisles, and it's not worked commercially. As a decision, it hasn't worked because the parents need some guidance on what they're looking for and where to go for what they want to find. And I know several toy shops who have tried the campaign is Let Toys Be Toys to de-genderise the toy shops, and commercially for toy shops it isn't as successful as we'd all like it to be.
Okay, great to talk to both of you. Thank you so much for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. We do appreciate it. Thank you.